another exciting episode of the NDTV Auto Show. You are with me, Mugdha Mishra. Let me tell you what's on the show today. We compare Volkswagen Tiguan, Hyundai Verna and Honda City to find out which one is the best for you. TVS has launched an updated Jupiter 110. We get you the review. We'll take you on a test drive of Mini Countryman Electric. Well, these days everybody wants to buy an SUV. But if you, like us, are still in love with sedan body style, then this story is for you. We compare Volkswagen Virtus, Honda City and Hyundai Verna to find out which one offers most comfort, convenience and performance.
In the recent past, SUVs have seen a strong growth momentum. And yes, for all the right reasons, they are far more practical a body style than everything else in existence. But if you have to make your buying call from your heart and not from your brain, you would go out and think about sedans. And when you have a budget of between 11 to 20 lakh rupees, there are quite a few options. The Skoda Slavia, which also is the Volkswagen Virtus with a different set of clothes, the Honda City and the Hyundai Verna. But without any further ado, let's kick things off, and I have to tell you that this comparison is not your boring one. This is going to be super exciting. So we are now rolling off for the first test of ours. That is a 0 to 100 kmph time run. And we'll start off with the Volkswagen Virtus. And why so? After all, Germans know how to make cars fast. And it also gets a 1.5 TSI motor paired to a 7-speed DCT that puts out 150 PS against 250 Newton meters. Here we go in the Virtus, and I have to say that this engine does not let you do hard launches thanks to a soft limiter, but it performed well. The 161 horsepower Verna engine feels superior on paper and in this test, as well as it seems like the fastest one on the lot. Now, starting off in this test with the City, I have to say it feels lethargic already thanks to the CVT gearbox and its rubber band effect. Now, sedans, they are perceived as comfortable vehicles over their SUV counterparts. And another aspect of a comfortable car is great NVH control. What NVH stands for is noise, vibration and harness. So we are testing the noise levels in these cars with a third-party mobile application. As we begin this test with the Volkswagen Virtus, we can tell you that the minimum decibel value observed is 64.2, while the maximum decibel value observed is 80.2. As for the Hyundai Verna, the minimum value remains 62, while the maximum value remains 79.2. Moving to the last contender on this list, the Honda City, the minimum decibel value remains 66.4, while the maximum decibel value observed was 83.6. The results, they will shock you. But first, I'll tell you about the parameters that we used for this test. We have kept the blower fan settings at 1 and we are chomping down highways and city streets with speeds varying from 40 kmph to 80 kmph. And to kickstart this test, we have the Hyundai Verna with us. Now, as in our final results, we can conclude that Hyundai Verna is the most silent of all. Now the Virtus takes the second spot, while the Honda City's cabin turned out to be the noisiest of all. Now, a comfortable car does not only need to have good NVH levels. What it also requires is a great ride quality. And to test that, we have a bottle of water and an empty cup with us. And yes, the 3 cars. But this test, we are going to start in the Honda City by filling this cup with water. And we'll go over a bad section of road at speeds of around 35 to 40 kmph. And what we are going to test is how much water is displaced out of this cup in all the cars, the City, the Virtus and the Verna. And it's the result time, and I have to say that the City excelled with the least amount of water displacement from the cup. Next up is the Volkswagen Virtus with its rather stiff suspension. Now Verna, it might be powerful, but it does get a softer suspension setup, therefore making us wet with a lot of water spillage. Also, the City comes with comfortable seats. Now the space is great on the Virtus as well, but somehow the Verna doesn't feel as comfortable as the other two. See, we told you this is not going to be a boring comparison, but what have we learned from this one? Well, I can tell you that the Virtus and the Verna with their turbo petrol motors and the DCT gearboxes are equally fast. It is the City with the 1.5 litre NA and a CVT gearbox that it felt lethargic. Now this car is on sale with turbo engine in international markets, and we are asking Honda to bring that to India so that it can give some tough fight to the Virtus and the Verna. Coming down to the NVH test, well, it is the Verna that took away the limelight from the Virtus and the City, with City offering the highest number in terms of the max NVH levels that we observed in the test. Finally, we have to talk about the suspension test, and the water displacement was observed in the maximum amount in Verna. Then it was the Virtus, and this is where City excelled. So if you want to buy a car that has comfortable ride and you want to be chauffeur driven, go for the City. But if you want to have fun and is a very balanced offering with features, you have to go with the Verna. But if you're all about making this decision illogical and from your heart, I think Virtus will fit to your bill. I said illogical because this is the most expensive car on this list. In fact, it misses out on a lot of features as well when we compare it to the Verna, which indeed is slightly cheaper. But on paper, it is the Verna that is more powerful, but in the real world, with supreme handling, it is the Virtus that will keep you happy if you love pushing your car. And with that, I'm your host Mohit Bhardwaj. I'll now take a leave, hoping to see you again in another video. Till then, take care.
TVS has updated its most popular product, Jupiter 110. Let's find out what all has changed.
Sometimes all that we need to know are interesting facts, and I have one with me today. That planet Jupiter takes 11 Earth years to complete its one revolution cycle. But why am I talking about Jupiter? Well, because TVS took 11 years to launch the new generation of Jupiter 110, which first made its debut 11 years ago. Well, with this analogy, let's kickstart the review of the new TVS Jupiter 110 and find out how good the scooter is. So, aesthetics, and in that department TVS has done a very wonderful job, I have to say. Over to the front, the apron is all new and it gets this wide LED DRL which actually looks phenomenal. Over to the front, you're getting a new headlamp cluster with a revised cowl that sports a dual tone appeal. Now over to the sides, you will see that the silhouette is all new as well. But why? Well, the answer is an all new chassis, about which we'll talk a little later. Coming down to the rear section, you can see that it now gets a new LED tail lamp, which is a very slim and slender looking unit, just like the front LED DRL, adding a sense of cohesion to the overall design. Now this design looks appealing, and there are a total of 6 color options, 2 with matte finishes and 4 with gloss finishes. What are your opinion on the design? Let us know in the comments below. Now, other than the design, TVS has done some crucial changes to the Jupiter 110 to make it an all-new yet appealing offering. First of all, it gets an all-new chassis. What it does is you get a new floor-mounted fuel tank. But how do you fill it? Well, this is where the fuel lid is. And talking of the boot space, you're getting a huge boot space that can house 2 helmets. Now this is quite an interesting touch, I have to say. And the engine, TVS says it is a new gen unit. So what they have done is they have borrowed the 125's engine and have managed to rebore it 213 cubic centimeters. Resultantly, the peak power output now stands at 8.2 HP, while the peak torque stands at 9.8 Newton meter. Now, in comparison to the last gen Jupiter, it is a bump of 1 Newton meter to be precise, but only 0.4 Newton meter of it comes through the engine, while the remaining 0.6 Newton meters come through the iGo technology, which in simple word means a mild hybrid setup. But how has that differentiated the performance from the outgoing model? Well, let's quickly go on a spin and find that out. Now, with all these changes, Jupiter's riding quality has certainly evolved. Now, there are a few directions that I want to point out. First thing, that it has become more manageable at walking speeds, and the reason for that is the mass centralization, since the center of gravity has now shifted lower for the Jupiter 110 thanks to that new footboard mounted fuel tank. Along with that, you're getting larger tires, and TVS says that the tire compound is now more grippier, so you can go faster around corners, and zipping through traffic is not that tough. Talking of brakes, with the 220 mm petrol rotor, the overall progression has certainly improved. The scooter comes to a full stop much faster and with more confidence. The new gen engine feels superior in terms of refinement with no noticeable vibrations. The mild hybrid setup gives a small bump in my opinion. Also, masses will not be able to register the change in terms of performance, but the feature will be welcomed warmly, accounting the small bump it brings to efficiency. The Jupiter also comes with voice commands and automatic start-stop system, elevating the overall experience. Talking of suspension, it felt pliant, but I cannot comment much on it since the ride was on a short and well-paved tarmac. Braking action is progressive, and the scooter comes to a full stop with confidence. It also gets emergency braking light, which I feel should continue to flash for few more seconds after you've come to a full stop. In summation, the new Jupiter 110 looks like a very potent offering to me with the short time that I had with it. Now, why am I sitting on this floorboard? Because TVS claims that you can fit an LPG cylinder on this floorboard quite easily, although it looks like a tight squeeze to me. Now, coming to the question, should you consider buying the Jupiter 110 over its key rivals, I mean the Hero Zoom or the Honda Activa? Well, the answer is yes. If you're looking at a scooter that is more modern and comes with more sensible features that will help you in your everyday riding style, well, you should certainly consider this one.
Welcome back. You're watching the NDTV Auto Show. Today I am with BMW XM. Great power but great mileage too, and that's because it is a plug-in hybrid. But BMW has had a very good run on the sales chart with their electric vehicles. Recently, they launched electric Mini Countryman. Anirban Mitra gets you the review.
Buying a Mini in my books is a very emotional decision. Your heart overpowers your mind, but things here are a little different. Presenting the Mini Countryman Electric. Well, it promises a range of 462 kilometers to a full charge. It has grown in size, more features, and the way it drives, well, we will find out in today's video. The Countryman Electric is priced little under 55 lakh rupees ex-showroom, which makes it a direct rival to the likes of Hyundai Ioniq 5, Volvo C40 Recharge, and the Mercedes EQA and its own sibling, the BMW iX1. The overall length of the car has increased by 130 millimeters. It's much wider than before, and the face of it, well, you see a fresh design language. It's a closed-off grille, much like other EVs. The panel right in front is for the ADAS functionalities. You get bronze bezel right around the grille. There is an element of bronze on the skid plate as well. The lights are also fresh, they come without bezel, and these LED lights give you good projection at night. Onto the sides, the alloy wheels are new. You get a range of alloy sizes. This one is 19 inches with Pirelli rubbers. The ground clearance is also healthy, standing over 200 millimeters. The wheelbase has expanded by 33 millimeters. There is that typical kink on the C-pillar, signifying that it's a Mini. The door handles remind me of the X1. You also get sporty looking roof rails. Over to the rear, the design is quite familiar because you get Union Jack tail lamps, but this is a digital interpretation of the same. Has to be with the new Countryman. The whole of tailgate gets the Countryman badging, and behind this you get an excess of 400 liters of boot space, and that should accommodate 2 full-size luggage with a few knickknacks. The charging flap is on the side. Now this supports up to 130 kilowatt of DC fast charging. At home, with a 11 kilowatt AC fast charger, you can replenish this 66.4 kilowatt hour battery pack in about 11 hours time. Well, the Countryman globally gets petrol, diesel and electric. For now, the electric avatar has come to our shows. And inside the cabin, there is a whole lot of freshness. Right in the middle is a 9.4-inch circular display, much like other Minis of past. But this one is fresh. This one gets the latest Mini operating system. It's slick to use, loaded with features. And then there is a lot of sound mimicry inside the cabin. Have a look. You hear that? Well, company calls it experiences. There are multiple modes. As you go along, as you change, you can hear something like this. As far as features go, you get a panoramic sunroof with a Countryman. The steering wheel is adjustable for both reach and rake. The driver's seat is electrically adjustable. There is wireless charging, Harman Kardon stereo, heads-up display and plenty more inside the cabin to keep you happy. The seats are sufficiently large and supportive. My height is 5'7". Kind of texture used to make these seats are of good quality. These are electrically adjustable seats. The dashboard design is also new here. It's kind of a denim fabric made out of recycled material. However, this is not soft touch. It runs into the door panels and the color kind of merges into beige. While it looks appealing, but I don't think this will be to everyone's taste and liking. As far as storage space is concerned, it's a bit of a hit and miss because right between the front passengers, you have ample amount of space, couple of cup holders. There is a deep pocket under the wireless charging pad. However, this armrest really doesn't open up. So all the space you get here is right between. The glove box is also not very deep, but quite usable. And with this, I hoped the door bins could have been a little more deeper. Countryman means it's a 5-door Mini and you get quite a usable rear seat as well. Now again, the front seats are to my liking and you see I have good amount of space to move around my legs, but then I don't report too much of leg room. There are AC vents dedicated for the rear passengers. There are a couple of USB charging ports as well. The sunroof runs down to all the way to my head. 3 adjustable headrests for the passengers. There's armrest as well. The seats are good. They are cushiony, comfy, but then there is an element of firmness that you would feel with a Mini. Overall, it's a spacious, airy cabin with multiple color combinations going around. It's time to go back to the driving seat and tell you how it feels to drive this Countryman EV. Do you hear the sound? Well, there's a lot of it inside the cabin. Obviously, when you shift to the sports mode or over here, it is called the go-kart mode, it becomes so much pleasurable. It kind of mimics a performance car, but this electric is fast when you need it. A 0 to 100 dash, company claims, is just about 8.5 seconds. And if you compare that to its counterpart, the BMW iX1, that's way more faster. Ask me why? Because iX1 gets a dual motor setup. On the other hand, this one, it's a front motor setup which puts out 204 horsepower, 250 Newton meters of peak torque, and the claimed top speed is 170 kilometers an hour. But for your daily driving around city corners and at times on the highways, you'll be offered with enough grunt. The electric motor feels quite progressive. You have 3 drive modes to play with. The go-kart is the fastest, the quickest, but then other modes really don't change the power and torque output. The change happens in the way the power is being delivered. Especially in the green or the eco mode, the power delivery is slightly dialed down. It's more range oriented. And talking about range, the company claims it's over 460 to a single charge, and in real life expect anywhere between 350 to 380 kilometers. I think it's a fairly handsome number. Remember the Cooper, the electric Cooper that arrived a couple of years ago? Well, it had a shallow range of around 200 kilometers in real life, and it really did not make justice to a lot of buyers. Where does the Countryman fit in? Is it a hatch or is it an SUV? See, it has grown in size, it's over 4.3 meters in length, but still from the driving seat, it somehow fails to give me the commanding view of an SUV. But on the other hand, what it really stays true to is its ethos of great handling. It is still that sharp handler, gives you crisp response whenever you steer it around. With a quick and sharp handling product, what you require is good anchoring strength from the brakes. And I must report, the brakes, the performance, the feedback from the lever are good. You also get different levels of regenerative braking. However, to change them every time, you have to shift your focus off the road, get to the touchscreen and play around. So that's a bit of a dampener. Promised as a family SUV, I'm going over bad and broken roads, and you can see how much I'm being tossed around. Well, things have improved. Things are way better than what they used to be, but still you feel firm edges when you go over really bad roads at slow speeds. But it's kind of a trade-off you have to live with, because this car promises great amount of handling and there is some compromise in the ride quality. Globally, you get an all-wheel drive variant, which means a dual motor setup with a Countryman. It's a bit of a shame that BMW has kind of overlooked the enthusiast market with this car, and I believe an all-wheel drive variant should have been considered for India as well. Nevertheless, it's fast, triple-digit speeds come naturally, and thanks to the placement of battery on the floorboard, the center of gravity is really low, which means it's really planted at high speeds. The ground clearance stands over 200 millimeters, and in today's driving experience, I found no difficulty in gliding over tall speed breakers or going through bad potholes. The Countryman Electric is fun but could have been faster. But this one solves the biggest problem that the Cooper Electric had, and that is the range. It's a usable 400 plus range in day-to-day driving experience, and I believe now BMW can be happy, rest assured, with more clients of the Countryman EV.
Well, that's all from us today. Don't forget to follow us on our YouTube channel NDTV Auto and also on our various social media handles. Till we meet again, take care, bye-bye.